Hello, my name is Máighréad Medbh. I'm a poet, and this year I'm delighted to have been curator of Fingal Libraries Poetry Competition in honour of Poetry Day Ireland. The theme set for Poetry Day Ireland this year was New Directions, Maps and Journeys. Expanding on the theme, we sent out a request for poems that speak of maps and maps that speak of poems. Maps and journeys. I love both. Many people do. We even think in metaphors of movement. What are we doing every day, after all, in our routine trips, but making a kind of map that the body remembers? And too often we're unconscious of it. Luis Borges famously proposed a map that was as large as its territory. Symbolically, maybe that's the only true map, because we'd have to walk it. And would that be true either, when every experience is different? The study of maps being often prescribed as a palliative for melancholy. So says Lucia Perillo in her poem The Oldest Map with the Name America. Hilda Doolittle, or HD, has a recurring lady in her poems who's always walking. She doesn't have a fixed home. In The Master, she leaps from rock to rock and the hills dance. She conjures the hills. She creates the territory by moving. Poems are maps in themselves, small worlds with their own organisation. The word map comes from Latin and originally signified a cloth or a banner. The full expression was mappa mundi, world map, and early maps of the earth could be as conceptual as they were geographical. The entries we got for the competition generally showed an awareness of the different kinds of mapping, and many of them questioned whether maps represent reality at all. The judges, Enda Coyle Green, Sarah Bennett and myself, found the process enjoyable, but it wasn't easy to choose winners. It never is. You're always a bit sad for the people who almost make it, and you hope they'll keep working. John Holmes, in a poem called Map of My Country, says, "I have come a long way using other men's maps for the turnings. I have a long way to go. It is time I drew the map again, spread with the broad colours of life and words of my own." The competition had 3 categories: adult, teen and child. We gave 2 prizes in each of the categories, one for a poem and one for an artwork. In this video, I'll be reading the winning poems in each category, and then you'll see the 3 artworks. And please do stay to the end, because it's a real treat. Along the Pacific Coast by Siddharth Saji. Excited I was for my road trip from Seattle to San Diego along the Pacific Coast. Our first stop at America's wettest place, visiting the Space Needle along with friends. Oh, how tall it is! Cannon Beach and Haystack Rock, Oregon, here we come. Tillamook Creamery, dairy done right. The ice cream is yummy in my tummy. Banana slugs, loop trails, tree huggers, and giant redwoods couldn't get my eyes off Muir Woods. The Golden Gate Bridge standing tall, eating bread at Boudin on the wharf. Disneyland is no small world, no ordinary rides, and a land of magic. Our final destination, San Diego, Old Town, the birthplace of California, colorful Mexican handicrafts, and the McCoy House. End of an adventure. What a beautiful world. Political Maps versus Physical Maps by Hannah Byrne. A blotched sheet strung on the wall. Borders divide territorial marks. Who owns what? Which is your scrawl? Who owns where? Which blot do you bark? A petty squabble dawns. Yet on the flip side, those old lines gone, replaced with warm hues of height and width, alien to your pride. Territory isn't here, except perhaps the ocean's blue. The cities you cherished hid the land, varied, open, one place to start. Political maps don't show where it all stands, so flip it over and embrace a change of heart. Westward after Walt Whitman by Helen Dempsey. I drive away from who I am when I am home, bound by the limits of white lines and speed, the phone turned off, the radio turned loud, with signposts for my guide. I weave past produce trucks, horse box, car trailer, cranes, juggernauts and coach, past tourist symbols with promises to veer onto untravelled roads to historical monuments when I make time, but never do. Past suburbs, towns, social housing, flats and bulbous letters sprayed on overpasses. They mock urban artists' masterworks and sculptures dotted on the route. Past the county limit where the traffic thins. Argue with the TD's dodge on airwaves, then search for music, classical or easy on the ear. I find my voice. Past pastured herds of checkered Frisians, golden Jersey, Charolais and grazing Cheviots, snowy Galways, black-socked Suffolk flocks and meadows of their fodder, crop fields to make our bread, our spuds, our stout. Past carrion crows consuming carcasses of creatures dazzled in the beam of humans on the move, lost litters and the balance of two worlds. Indicate after 3, 2, 1 slashes to turn onto country roads edged with hedges and with calming signs, alerts for neighbourhoods to watch, notices for faster broadband, no wind turbines or communal masts. Past tidy towns, hamlets with pretty flower beds, hanging baskets and coloured frontages, proud communities which merit more than a sideways glance. At Junction 23, join throngs of trippers guzzling breakfasts, lattes, lunches, slot machines. Queue for the ladies. Establish ancestral lines to a president born half a world away. Past the town where the Ryans took root before my father made his way to Stoneybatter. I believe that there are cousins at Bird Hill. Turn off the motorway. Bypass the city and picturesque Adair. Past secondary thoroughfares to minor roads, blind bends and bridges where one vehicle at a time may safely cross. The twists and turns that zigzag on the ring reward with mountain vistas, lakes and woods in shades of Foxford or Avoca rugs. I cannot stop. Tailgaters intimidate to accelerate. I pray for some lay-by to rid me of their threat. After they pass, there is a precipice and scary moments when a tour bus sends me in reverse. Red-faced. The audience could criticize my cautious maneuvers. Take a few deep breaths. Set off again. This would be a nightmare in moonlight. Pass the blackening nimbus. Their downpours darken surfaces, glisten globules on leaves. Bubble-wrapped, I drive on past the fear of a lashing twilight on unfamiliar roads. The windscreen obscured, known and unknown fogged, foolhardy but determined to keep going. When the clouds clear, the view becomes the ambit of my reason. Past moss stone walls, dwarfed vegetation, honed forever by gusts designed by Atlantic breath to the horizon. On the hill brink, balk at fragility faced with omnipotence. Past the welcome signs down to the village hub and Amergin's world of words. Here thoughts will trickle onto pillars of salt-smooth stones, piled gestures from tourists which still stand. I'll stay 4 days until solstice ends, a basking selkie, a swim in poetry. Afterwards, I'll drive away to who I am when I am home.
The Lake Isle of Innisfree. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin built there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavements grey, I hear it in the deep heart's core.